All right, welcome everybody. Quick introduction. My name is Travis Hupp. I'm the Director of Milieu Management here at Cumberland Heights. What is Milieu Management? Basically, I'm over all the clinical associates and recovery assistants and a couple counselors here at Cumberland Heights. We are today going to feature some of our team leads, our clinical associate team leads. Today we have Dalton Wicker, Sharon Robinson, and Matt Hutchinson, all working in different areas. Dalton works in young men's, Sharon works in the men's, and Matt works in extended care. We wanted to thank you guys for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for volunteering to be with us today. Wanted to get with you guys and kind of give you an opportunity to speak a little bit about your story here at Cumberland Heights. What brought you here? How you perform your daily tasks. What do you get out of your jobs and things like that. So I would like to take a couple minutes to allow each one of you to share a little bit about your experience here at Cumberland Heights, maybe what brought you here as an employee and really what keeps you here. What on a daily basis is are those some of the things that keep you here working at Cumberland Heights and kind of fulfill you in your job and in your work? Dalton, I'd like to start with you. I'd like to give you some time to just tell us a little bit about yourself, what brought you to Cumberland Heights, and what do you get out of your job, and how do you perform it? What do you like about it?
Okay.
Some stuff like that.
Yeah. I was a patient at Cumberland Heights a few years ago, and that kind of started the whole introduction to recovery in this field. And I remember even as a patient when I met some of the staff and what they impressed on me is just like wanting to help people, caring about people, and enjoying it at the same time. And the biggest thing that I got out of the staff is they were themselves. They were loose. They were relaxed. They were just like normal people who kind of had crazy stories, all being in recovery. And I remember thinking I wanted to work at Cumberland Heights back when I was a patient. I actually told staff when I was here that I'd be back to work here. And here I am. So also, I've been in management. I was a manager in training when I was 18 years old. At Walmart, I was a manager in training at a car wash. And so I've always wanted to be in management. So I've kind of had these two passions of wanting to help people and wanting to be in management. And I was able to do both here because I get so much satisfaction from helping people. But I also love, leading and managing and the pressure that comes with that. I thrive in it. And I just really enjoy it every single day.
How long have you been working for Cumberland Heights?
So I worked with the Adolescents for a year and 3 months, and then I've been working here for 8 months.
And you had the same job there?
There I was just a CA, working with the kids and on second shift and talking to them, helping them. And that was super rewarding.
Coming over here to Milieu Management, where in Milieu Management, we kind of work as a whole team. We're charged with the entire campus, not just individual programs. How is it different for you coming from Adolescent to the Milieu Management environment here on main campus? What are some differences there for you?
Yeah. I was so used to working with young people. They were ages 14 to 17. And so when I came over here and I was tasked with the job to work with young men, men's, women's, I definitely had to grow into that. I had to ask people, how do I talk to men's patients and women's patients? And I learned how to deal with every kind of patient in any situation. But it's definitely something I've grown into and had to ask for help on. It's definitely different because I had more tunnel vision when I was there, focusing on just a certain age group.
Right.
That I could relate with. And now I've found a way to relate with all age groups, men's and women's.
How do you think that you have grown in your knowledge of working in substance use disorder treatment, working with co-occurring patients, since you've been here on main campus or in your LADAC track? Because I know that you're all three of you are in a LADAC track, working towards your license to become licensed alcohol and drug counselors. All of you have individual supervisors, and you do group supervision and you get training. What are some things that you have learned through that process that have helped you to work with the patients?
Well, to be honest, when I first came to Cumberland Heights, I was kind of very set on, how do I put this? I had this idea that everybody needed to do what I did.
Right.
That it was strict, that there was one path, that, this is my experience and you should all do exactly what I went through. And I've learned that that's not the case. And I've also learned that there's so many other tools, whether it's DBT or, certain things you do in therapy. I've learned from people who are already counselors. And I've had this wider scope of like what people can do when they have substance use disorder. Mm-hmm. And I've even learned just through working here that there's so many other ways that I can not recover, but tools, so many other tools I can use than what I already had.
Personally, for yourself.
My own personal recovery.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, there's so many other things that I can do to grow and recover. So I've applied things that I learned by working here to my own life.
Yeah.
That I didn't before, because I learned, from people that there's more than what I knew. Okay. So I've also learned different ways to help patients than just sharing my experience in my own recovery.
Awesome. Do you have anything else that you want to share about your experience in as far as being an employee?
Yeah, there's one thing that I want to say is working at Cumberland Heights, my biggest asset has been being myself.
And that was modeled to you by people that,
It was shown to me by staff that already worked here. They were themselves. They were laid back. They were real people with real experience. And that's what helped patients, is people being themselves. And I come here and I work here and I can be myself, not only in front of the patients, but in front of the staff, in front of the people that are above me. I don't have to be somebody that I'm not. I can be authentically myself. And that benefits me. So that's it.
Awesome. Sharon Robinson, she's our team lead in the men's program in Milieu Management. She mainly works with the men. Tell us a little bit about your experience coming to work here, why you chose to work here. What are some benefits that you get out of it for yourself, and what do you enjoy about your job? And
why I chose to work here, I love helping people. And when I finally understood the concept of recovery, I knew that I wanted to work in recovery.
Yeah, well, what do you think is your biggest asset that you give to the patients? Something maybe that you have learned through your own recovery experience or your training or education that you've gotten since being here? You've been here, how long have you been here?
I've been here almost 4 years in August.
Yeah, what's one thing that's really kind of stood out to you that's changed about yourself and how you present yourself to patients? Because I want to share a real quick story about Sharon. Sharon, when I took over Milieu Management, Sharon was a CA in the women's program, and I watched you grow. I saw some leadership skills in you, and we had a position open at that time in the men's program for a team lead, and I was kind of already eyeing Sharon for that position, and she didn't know that. And I talked to her about going up to work in the men's program, and she was like, "No, I can't work with the men. No way. I work with women." And I had to kind of push Sharon a little bit. She was a little, it was a little bit uncomfortable for her. But I think that the promotion to team lead and with some of our coaching and help with her, she agreed to do it. And I kind of, we kind of had to push you a little bit. How was that experience for you? And how has that turned out? And how is it different than you thought it would be than what you were thinking of how it would be?
So I've had a lot of people tell me I found my voice and that I just know how to talk to them. Like, I just treat them like they're my friend or my best friend. And I was really scared because I was like, I'm going to go help women and that's all I'm going to do. Like, that was like ingrained in my head. Like, I can't help men. I don't even have a brother.
Right.
So like, and what I've learned is that, as Dalton just previously said, like, everybody's recovery is individual, and letting a patient know that it is your recovery and it like let them have ownership of it really helps. I've just seen some of the patients, like, their eyes light up. They're like, oh, I don't have to do it that way. I'm like, no, you can pick this and you can pick that and you can do what you think is going to make you stay sober, not what that person stayed sober over there. And
that's one of the things that we try to implement with all of our patients here is treatment is individual, and the level in which the clinical associates work, or the role is basically to, reinforce and support the treatment plan that's put forth by the treatment team. And you guys do that. And each person's journey, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. You get some options in there, but you get some say in your treatment plan too. We need them to have buy-in to their treatment plan. So all their treatment plans are individualized, and you being able to help support that and present that to them in that way it's a little more freeing for them. They don't feel so restricted and they have some options. That's good. Anything else that you want to say? Look, I want to ask you about your LADAC experience, and you've been you're getting close to applying for your license to be a licensed alcohol and drug counselor. And I would like to talk to you a little bit about some of that experience and maybe kind of talk a little bit about, your journey through that, through submitting the application to be in the LADAC supervision, how the LADAC supervision groups have helped you, and some of the individuals to prepare you to get ready to take your test to be a licensed alcohol and drug counselor.
The LADAC supervision classes have gave me so much more confidence in just leading a group and then like making that small talk, that conversation, knowing, hey, we need to do an icebreaker. And then, if we could have some kind of activity in the group and get them like kind of brainstorming together and then come back and we'll all talk about it in the group. It's just made me be able to do groups, have more confidence. And then the process of it, like 3 years goes by real quick.
Yes.
Like, it just goes by real quick. And like, I need to turn in all the stuff. And like, it's almost like, wow, I didn't think within 5 years of sobriety, I could have like a whole different career path, whole different trajectory of who I am and what I can become and help in this at Cumberland Heights. Yeah.
I think that's one of the, I kind of had a similar experience too. I was kind of lost in my addiction, and, I didn't get sober till I was 29, and, I saw all my friends and go on to college and get married and have lives. And I was still out there trying to, run things. And then I found myself at sober at 29. Like, what am I going to do? Well, like, what is my career? I need a career. I've had so many jobs. I need a career. Mm-hmm. And I had said, look, I'm going to make recovery and treatment my career. And I never would have expected that for myself back then in the using days or running the streets days and all that. But it's been very fulfilling and rewarding for me, just as it is for you. You do some other things too. You work with women. You do a lot of volunteering, and you give of yourself a lot. I noticed that you are a giver. Sometimes too much, and you have to take a little rest because you're always giving of yourself. And I appreciate that about you. I think you do a great job here, and I watch you with the men and how you carry yourself, and you have found your voice, and I've seen that, and it's been great. Anything else that you want to say specifically about your journey and how you've evolved?
Me getting sober this last time, and I'm coming up on 5 years in September. Like I said, I didn't think I would be a licensed alcohol drug counselor. I didn't think I would work at the first rehab I went to. Yeah. I didn't think, I just was hopeless. I'm just going to have to work at this manufacturing job and be around a machine and oh my God, being sober is not going to be fun. Right. But working at Cumberland Heights, it's so much fun. I go to the alumni events. Yeah. I would have never got in a kayak and got on the lake or in the river ever if it wasn't for our alumni, which I'm also a part of. So I really love working here, and every day is different, and that's what I love about it. I love not doing the same thing every day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love my coworkers and the patients. Yeah,
every day is different. You never know what you're going to walk into every day, and that's one of the things I like about it as well.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll come back. Let's talk to Matt Hutchinson. Yeah. Matt, you've been here for a while. You've had many different roles. Yeah. You worked in young men's for a while, and even you've worked all over. You've worked in men's, you've worked in EC professionals force for covering sometimes, but now your main job is the team lead in extended care. Yep. With our extended care patients, our patients that go through our residential treatment process and are here, 20 to 30 days, and then choose to extend, and then they'll come up to extended care. Tell us a little bit about you and your journey here at Cumberland Heights, how you got here. I remember the phone call that I made to you to get you to come work here. It feels like, that feels like it was forever ago.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about you and your journey.
Thanks for having me, Travis. My name is Matt Hutchinson. I work in the extended care program here at Cumberland Heights. My journey to get here was, I feel like I landed in the right spot, but I took a very roundabout way to get there. Even when I was in high school, I wanted to work in some type of health field where I could help people who were struggling. I had my own struggles when I was a teenager, so I wanted to get into something like this. I was a psychology major when I went to college, and I didn't think I was going to take the road that I took to leave here, but life happens, and I gained a lot of experience outside of the classroom in my own addiction before coming to Cumberland Heights. So what led me here was the opportunity to come back and give back to the recovery world, the clinical side of drug addiction and alcoholism and mental health.
Do you remember that phone call? Do you remember me calling you?
Oh yeah, I remember. Oh yeah.
There were several guys that were working here that were telling me about you and telling me about your work within the 12-step community and what a great guy you were, and that you were an alumni.
Yep.
And you met all the requirements, and they said you got to get this guy. And I called you, and you were working at a moving company.
Yes.
And it felt like you had, I don't know if you had made that decision to make that your career path, but you were kind of on the fence about coming over to this side. Let's talk about that for a second.
Well, as I said, when I was in high school. I wanted to get into this, but most of my adult life, I worked in sales and more of a business field. And I always wanted to, deep down inside me, I always wanted to come back and do some meaningful work. And what I found after working, after leaving Cumberland Heights, and I found that there wasn't a whole lot of deeper meaning to it. It's just another day, another week. It just wasn't being fulfilled in a way that I was looking for. So I was grateful for the opportunity. It took a little bit of pulling from, some other employees here, but I made the right choice. There's not a doubt.
I would like to ask, any of you can answer this question. Because you guys are team leads, so all of you have staff that work under you and that you direct and that you train and show how to do their job, and you lead, as your title says, by example. And this is for anybody. How has being a team lead stretched you as a leader? Going from being a CA and stepping into that lead role, how's that stretched you as a leader?
I got something.
Okay. You can go next.
I'll go, and then Sharon can go. Because I'll forget it. It was basically my MO to try to do everything myself. I've always been thorough when I work. And so I just wanted to go in wherever I worked and do a good job and be thorough and get it done. But being a team lead, things still need to get done, but it's my job to work as a team.
You got to make sure other people are doing it.
Yes, I got to delegate. I got to make sure they get it done. And that whole mindset of if you want it done right, do it yourself kind of has to go out the window, because I got to lead a team. I got to delegate tasks to them. So I've learned how to do that when that's not what I've always been used to doing. Yeah.
It's hard to do that sometimes, to let go and allow someone else to. That whole mindset of if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. It's a hard one to let go. It's hard for me too. Yeah. So I understand that.
But it feels really good when you trust somebody and you delegate a task to them or multiple tasks, and they do it.
Yeah, I kind of equate it to going to Disney World as a kid. There's this nostalgic thing about going to Disney World, but then going again with my own kids and experiencing that again through their eyes. It's kind of the same way with work and teaching someone else how to do the task and watching them learn and watching them grow, which is an opportunity that I get every day because I have so many clinical associates and team leads and counselors that work for me and that I continue to help teach and train, and they come to me and have those conversations. I love that. I love that opportunity to kind of walk through that with them again.
Yeah.
But it's also hard, not letting them, they got to bump their knees sometimes, or,
Yep.
That can be hard sometimes too. They could make a mistake, and we just teach and train and show them how to do it properly. You were going to say something to that?
I know whenever you always have to think ahead, and try to make the job for the whole team easier. So I know sometimes whenever I'm not, I can't always look ahead to be perfect, but if I can look ahead and solve some things for my team or delegate it out and know what's going to happen, it helps the team run a lot smoother than it would have if, oh gosh, we didn't know all this was going to happen.
Yeah. Did you want to say something to that or no?
I think that being able to share your experience, just like with the patients, being able to share it with your coworkers and show them some of the pitfalls that you went through, because I'm not the same CA that I am today as when I first started. So it's good to be able to show them, some of the things that I've learned along the way. And as far as I consider my coworkers and staff my friends, but there's a line in between. Sometimes being a lead, you have to tell them some things that, they might not want to hear, or give them some direction that seems unfriendly.
Yeah.
So just trying to have that line,
Yeah.
professionalism and, friends.
Yeah. There's the day that you become a team lead is the day that your peers become your supervisees, right? Mm-hmm. And that could be a hard transition sometimes.
Yeah.
Because yesterday you guys were here and now you're the lead, and learning how to teach them, and learning how to have that conversation about now the relationship changes.
It does.
There's a power differential there, and that can be hard to navigate sometimes. One thing I want to ask you guys is, what is a skill that you guys have developed working here and in this field that you didn't think that you would develop, like that you didn't think would come out of this? What is one thing that for you?
I would say it's taught me a level of patience with it definitely in the recovery, in the recovery community, is that, like it's been said, that we all kind of stumble along and go at our own pace in a sense with recovery, and it's not going to look the same, as Dalton said, and just having a lot of patience and a lot of grace that some of the people that come through here. It's not knowing their, exactly what background they came from, or what their childhood was like, or what brought them up into their admission date at Cumberland Heights, and just having a lot of patience for people. I think get to know them as people, not just patients.
Yeah. You guys want to answer that or no?
Yeah, I'll just I agree with Matt. You know how some people say don't pray for patience because God will give you opportunities to be patient?
Yes.
I've been given a lot of opportunities to be patient while working at Cumberland Heights. When you're working in this field, especially as a team lead, I have this mindset of, like I said, I thought everybody should do it the way I did it, and I wanted things to be done right. And I've grown and learned, that everybody's different, whether that's people that work below me or patients. Like Matt said, one of the biggest skills that I've gained working is patience and empathy and compassion and understanding. And, not when a patient is having a bad day or going through something, not letting it affect me and just showing up for them and helping them. And same for employees.
Yeah. I love that.
A level of confidence I've gained since working here is probably my public speaking, and just finding my true voice and knowing that what I say is important. And as long as I'm working my recovery and my doing the next right thing, it's gonna show in my actions and show in what I do.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about culture and the culture of Cumberland Heights, and your feel for our culture and how I have my position on it and the way I see it and the way I feel about working here. And this is going into my 19th year working here, and I feel like you hear a lot of places talk about, we're like a family here. This is like a family. This is really like the first place that I worked where I've actually really felt that. I've heard that a lot. I have relationships with other directors that are really like my brothers and sisters, and and we all love one another, but we can fight with each other too, and then but it's really truly like a family. We always come back to the table and work out our differences. I feel that way about this place being here so long. I would like for you guys to talk about what about the culture of, that's just my view of it. It may not be yours, but what about the culture of Cumberland Heights is different than other places that you have worked? Because we were talking about, working in sales and working in restaurant industry. I worked in restaurant industry for a while, and the culture is different. How is it different here for you guys?
I was just gonna say, I'm excited to come to work because it's fun. It's kind of like you're pulling up to hang out with all your friends, and you're just excited to see all of them. Like, I genuinely love, one of my favorite parts about the job is I have to walk around campus all day to make sure things get done in different areas. But it's like I get to walk around all day because I get to talk to everybody that works here. And I can't wait to talk to everybody because it's so fun, the interactions that I have with all the people that work here. I enjoy it. And it is like a family. Like I said, I've always been able to be myself here. Like there isn't any pressure to be somebody that I'm not. I'm just myself. And people accept me and understand. And it's just, I can relate with the people that work here, whether they're in recovery or not, because we all kind of understand what's going on and how to work in this field. But the biggest thing is just the excitement to come to work and see all my homies. Yeah. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, as long as I've been here, I think there's probably only been like 2 days that I've ever kind of like, and that's because something I know was going on, but I have that same experience every day. Sharon, how would you describe the culture here, and how's it different from other places that you have worked?
Like, I have coworkers that call me even when we're not at work talking about stuff, and like, they're my friends. Like, if I have a bad day, I can go to them, or if I'm having a good day, I can go to them and kind of talk to them. And, we plan to do stuff outside of work, recovery related most of the time. And then, it's just like a real welcoming culture. Like, my sister was in town, and I didn't hesitate to think that I needed to ask if she could come and visit me. Like, I knew, like, if she did come to campus, like, she's welcome just like I am, my own family and the family I do have here at Cumberland.
The sister that came to the Christmas party?
Yes.
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 Nice.
You could tell she was your sister.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried to get her to come to the picnic, but she was busy.
Okay. Matt,
Culture, I think.
how would you describe culture here?
The culture, I think just the property itself sets the tone. So
Sets the tone.
It is the most beautiful place I've ever worked at.
Yep.
Without a doubt. It is just a very, very pretty setting. We're out in the hills. Cumberland Heights used to be a farm, and it's wonderful.
177 acres.
177 acres, and it's just absolutely beautiful out here throughout the 4 seasons. I think that sets the tone, and then I get the same feeling as a staff as I did when I was a patient, which is everyone here is here to help.
Yeah.
The medical staff is here to help. The CAs are here. The clinical staff, the people that work in finance and accounting, every single department. Even the maintenance people that you see here, they're working hard out there to make our campus beautiful. And everyone that I wave to waves back, and it's just a lot of. There's a lot of support that we get from one another. We all have to work together to make it work, and I think everyone that comes to that arch in the morning knows that. And I feel supported. And we got some friends that work here, and personal culture is the saying that if you like what you do, you never have to work another day in your life,
Right.
which I thought was garbage.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
But when I was working down in Young Men's, probably a month or two after working here, I was like, I think there might be something to that. Or if you like what you do and you come to Cumberland Heights, it's yes, it is work. And yes, what we do is very serious, but there's some room to come here and enjoy it and enjoy what you do.
Yeah. If you guys could think about your teams and the people that you work with, like on a daily basis, what do you think makes your team special?
They want to be here. I mean, it's the same. Like we were just talking about our own experience of wanting to be here, and our teams want to be here. There's passion to help people and to be a part of this culture of recovery and substance use disorder. And like, there's some technical things that we have to get done because, like Matt said, it is work, but the team loves to do it because they love being here. And that, I've been in management before and I've had a team and they did not want to be there.
Right.
They didn't enjoy that they were there. It was just like, oh, this is work, like clock in, get it done, clock out. But here, like, it feels easier to lead people that want to be here, that want to be led, that are enjoying themselves.
Yes.
The best. What was the question? The best.
When you think about your team, your team is obviously a little smaller, but you're close knit. You guys, you got Dan Gerbis as primary counselor up there, and Ken as a counselor case manager, and then you lead a team of CAs.
Yeah. Close knit. We all work together. If one person needs to take care of something else, something comes up, another guy has no problem jumping in and taking care of it. As far as the CA staff, I would say dependability, reliability. Our newest staff member, Justin, when he clocks in, he's ready to work.
Yeah,
he's prepared for work. He doesn't need time to the guys. When you kind of come in here, warm up for a little bit, be here for an hour, roam around.
Yeah.
They come in here, they're ready for work.
Justin's great. He's got that.
Yeah. He comes in, he clocks in, he's ready, which is fantastic. And I would say for, the other CAs, even the third shift, the level of communication that we have at EC is very good because there's just nothing really gets lost in translation because we communicate directly with each other all the time. On the clock, off the clock, we're always keeping each other informed.
Yeah, that's super important in your role because the extended care patients live off-site.
Yep.
We have the logistics of getting them, to main campus, getting them home, taking them out. It can be tricky, and it's got to be a well-oiled machine in order for all those parts to work. And you're kind of in charge of that. One thing that I like about you specifically is that your ability to forecast and see, a little bit down the road, some things that could be some potential issues and bringing those up and trying to work through those before they actually get to you.
Yes.
So I think you do a great job in that. That could be hard sometimes.
Yeah. Being prepared and the guys, as far as the staff, they just, I guess they're just hard workers.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it. They work hard. They like what they do. And
it's important to like what you do.
Yeah. It really is. Living off campus with the guys, there's a delicate balance of like structure, but as it says in the literature, we're not a glum lot. So we don't want to, it can't just be all rigidity and structure the whole time. There's got to be some fun.
Yeah.
We do some off-campus activities. We go to some 12-step meetings. We do some different stuff where we have some community around the house.
You guys do you volunteer at the local animal shelter?
We do
Cheatham County?
Yeah, we do a decent amount of volunteer work. We're just with Second Harvest. We do the Cheatham County Animal Shelter.
Did you shower up?
We did Shower Up, and we do a new place. It's called Diaper Connection, where we pack boxes for at-risk women in Nashville area. So
excellent.
Yeah.
That's great.
Throw in some bowling, and
that's a good experience for our guys.
it is. It's great.
I like how you guys kind of alternate their weekend. Like one weekend will be, their own recreational fun, learn how to, have fun in recovery and support and fellowship. But then the alternate week is support and going out and helping and doing volunteer work. And
Yep.
I think that's awesome. I think that's great that you guys do that.
Yeah, we've had some good results in the community. I think we've, been able to provide a community and a structure where the guys, they want to stay, they want to do it, they're excited for recovery, and they're willing to take suggestions on their next level of care, whatever that is, when they leave extended care.
Awesome. How about you and your team? If you could, think about your team for just a minute, what are some things that make your team, the people that you work with daily, special?
We have to communicate a lot. Like there's a lot of moving parts, and just staying connected and everybody on the same page. Because, if we're not communicating effectively, then everything can go haywire real quick.
Yeah.
And just knowing that there's a lot of moving parts, because it is in the men's department, which is a bigger population size than all the rest of the campus. And knowing that, we can do this, we just have to be prepared and communicate.
Yeah. I would like for you guys to, this one's gonna take a little bit of reflection, but if you could think about, without sharing specifics, is there a patient interaction or an experience that you've had in the whole time, not just in your lead role working here, that has stayed with you? It could be positive or negative, but anything that's really kind of stuck with you that you continue to use today in your work, that you've learned from.
I think it would be the first time I ever had to share my story in the auditorium, and I was so super terrified to get in front of all the men's patients.
How many people do you think were in that auditorium?
Probably about 110 to 120.
How many did it feel like were in there?
50 million. But I remember telling my story, and I remember having an outline because I didn't want to just be like,
yeah,
like just looking down. So I had like an outline, and like I had this one patient come up to me, and he was just like, Sharon, I thought there was no hope for me. He's like, your story is almost like mine. And I was like, really? And I can't begin to express how much that meant to me, like that I affected him, and like I gave him some hope. Like I know that's all you need in recovery is a little bit of hope, and you can just reach for the stars for your own recovery. So like that is still stuck with me, and that was like early working at Cumberland Heights.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say just for relevancy, Dalton over here. Dalton was a young men's patient when I was working down there, and I see him every day. He's coming on campus, and he's made a lot of growth.
Yeah.
I was not sure about Dalton when he was in young men's.
We weren't sure about you, Dalton.
Yeah,
sure
I
about
wasn't
you,
sure either.
A very likable young man. But you've grown up right before my eyes, and it's really cool to see. So just stuff like that. It's good that, and some of the other guys come back and work here too, and it's just good to see.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's one of the great things about my job is, I do get the opportunity to see a lot of like people like you or alumni that have maintained some sobriety time and have had a desire to, dip their foot in this field, or maybe just their toe to start. And they've come work, PRN and picked up shifts and kind of, tested the waters to see if they like it. And some of them have come on full time and love it, and have made total career changes for themselves. And that is another one of those experiences that I have, getting to, like, taking my kid to Disney World again, watching other people grow, and reliving that experience with them. It's awesome. It's an awesome thing. Did you have one that you wanted to share or something?
Yeah, I do want to say, though, on what Matt said. I mean, when I said that I was here as a patient, and the recovery literature says, find someone who has what you want. And Matt was one of the people that worked here.
What?
That made me want to work here.
Okay.
Because I was in a tough spot.
Yeah.
And he had shown me like love and compassion and understanding that I've never really gotten. And it made me want to come back, to give back. And I've been able to do that. So I'll go into, there's so many, but what sticks out to me the most is when I was working at Arch with the younger patients. There was this one guy, he was always in trouble.
Yeah.
And wasn't showing up to groups, and just wasn't good at following the rules. And he reminded me of myself, because I wasn't, the best patient when I was in treatment. And I shared with him, my story, and kind of like what Sharon said, he told me like he never thought there would be hope until he heard my story. And he would just be so excited to see me every single day. And like, I believed in him. And he was 17 at the time. And he is now got almost 3 years sober.
Awesome.
And is a house manager and is in recovery and is sponsoring someone twice his age, and just loves recovery. And I feel like one thing I did for him is not only show him hope, but also show him recovery's fun. And it can be cool, and it can be enjoyable, and it can be something that you want, and it's better than how we were living.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is for people to come in and be in a tough spot, and then years down the road be doing such a good job is awesome to see.
Yeah,
that makes me want to keep doing it.
That's such a hard thing with the young people, the younger, under 30s guys, and especially the adolescents. They can't imagine the not just like life, but like having fun in life without using or drinking. And you are a living example of that, and you get to show them that because you're still young.
Yeah, I got sober at 20.
Yeah, so
I celebrated my 21st birthday with 7 months
awesome,
clean and sober. But like, just my demeanor and like being goofy and having fun and everything that I do, they were drawn to that.
Yeah. I've been here for a long time. I know the director of Young Men's, Jeff Wilson, a lot of you know is my good friend, has been here for 10 years or a little more. And some of the other directors have been here for 10 years. And a lot of the CAs have been here for years. There's a lot of people who have worked at Cumberland Heights for a long time, all the way up to, our executive staff. And why do you think people stay here long term? Like, why do you think we have a lot of these people that are here long term?
Cumberland Heights feels comfortable and it feels like home. Like, when you go over the arches, you feel at peace. You see the flowers, you see the butterflies, you see the person at the welcome center greet you and say good morning. And, you can see the fog. I get here early in the morning, so I get to see the fog and the prettiness of the mountains in the back, and just sometimes the different arrays of color in the sunsets or the sunrises, I should say, and just knowing that this piece of property really is precious for people, and in Cumberland Heights, it helps make our culture you can recover and have a beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people. When I share my story out in my own life in recovery and stuff like that, I talk about all the things that I've gotten back because of recovery. And one of the things I say is I have my dream job, and I never thought I would get my dream job. And a lot of people say, this is their dream job. This is where I want to work. And I didn't think that I would work here. It was a dream of mine back when I was a patient. It was a dream to work here, and it's a dream come true to work here. And now that I'm actually here, I love it and I want to stay here. But on a more this being work, the opportunities to move up and grow and be pushed into doing stuff that's better and more fulfilling and just moving up the ranks. I don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because there's so many paths that I can choose from at this one company. So
Right.
I don't need to go out and look for another job. I can look for another job here within Cumberland Heights and move up at Cumberland Heights.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've enjoyed about here too, and seeing a lot of people come up, starting as maybe a PRN CA and just getting their foot in the door and moving up to team leads and case managers and getting their license and becoming counselors and even being directors. That was my path coming up. I started here also as a PRN CA in the Adolescent program, and seeing the opportunity for growth. And that's just in clinical. There's other areas of growth too. Some people may be more interested in business development or going that route, or marketing. We have everything's here in house, and there's always opportunities for people to learn and grow, and in many different fields, or accounting, or even intake and admissions. You can start here as a PRN CA and work your way up into a myriad of different areas, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
What were you going to say? Why do you think people stay here? What do you think keeps people here?
Yeah, I think that Cumberland Heights keeps presenting opportunities for growth. Just in my experience, I've worked here for 3.5 years, and I've been given, like you said, the LADAC track, supervision, which Cumberland provides for you, added benefit. They offer the tuition reimbursement programs. They support you going back to further your education, which is wonderful. So not only will they, are there different roles that you can go into, they will help you get into those roles.
Yeah.
Good leadership, as far as the people teaching you and helping you grow. Travis, you've showed me a lot, as I've gone along. Some of it is, some growing pains. But without someone with 19 years of experience, or a Jeff Wilson with 10 years of experience that you get from Cumberland Heights, good mentorship, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a good way, as an employee to kind of come up and learn. And I don't think a lot, not sure a lot of companies in general offer that these days, because everyone's always looking for the next best thing. So sometimes you land at Cumberland and you're just, you throw the map away and you're happy where you're at.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That was my experience too, many, many years ago when I first came here with a 1-year-old child and, a wife, and moving to a new city. And the LADAC track was the answer for me, because I was able to get training. I was here at Cumberland Heights, provided all the CEUs, continuing education hours that I needed. The LADAC core function trainings were provided for me. I didn't really have to pay for any of that stuff as an employee here, other than actually taking the test. I had to pay for a couple CUs just to get the total numbers. But as you know, a parent of a kid and having to work all the time, at that time for me, going back to school wasn't really feasible because I needed to work 40 hours a week. And it was basically on the job training for me. I was learning and getting educated. And so it was a perfect opportunity for me to become a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, to move up in this field. And that's, our story. That's where kind of everybody's in a different spot on that journey. And hopefully that's the conclusion. And I mean, or even more, because then I've had the opportunity to go back to school and to pursue my master's degree and all that stuff, which is also a process as well. I want to thank you guys for participating in this and sharing your story and talking a little bit about what got you here and what keeps you here. We're gonna wrap up, but is there anything that you guys would like to say about yourselves or Cumberland Heights as a whole before we do wrap? Any closing statements that you guys would like to say?
I feel like Cumberland Heights tries to treat the whole person, and just knowing that there's different avenues and ways to recover, and they individualize the patient's treatment, and that goes to even the culture of me being a worker. Like we just said, there's individual ways to move up, and the opportunities are endless when we work at Cumberland Heights.
Yeah.
I want to say I feel like we all maybe have struggled with, can I do this? I definitely have. One of the biggest things for me is people believing in me that work with me. Even when I don't believe in myself, it keeps me going.
Awesome. Do you want to say anything else? Or?
Say just thankful and grateful for Cumberland Heights as a patient and grateful for Cumberland Heights as a staff member. And I'm grateful that I can continue to show up and be a member of this community.
One thing that I want you guys to take away from this, and I want you to take to your staff, I have talked with leadership, and from the CEO to the chief clinical officer and everyone's kind of on the same page of the clinical associates here, that they're kind of the backbone of everything that we do. And without you guys, it would be hard to run this place. And you guys do a great job. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your work. I appreciate your teams. And I just want to make sure that you guys feel that and you guys know that. And with that, I think we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah.
You guys have a great day.